Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Mama Bear Podcast. I'm Bree.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're talking about screen time.
So we have a couple topics with screen time we'd like to focus on today. We're going to talk about just screen time in general, the effects emotionally and physically it can have on you. Neither of us, again, are experts on this. This is just our own opinions and what we see and what we hear and what we read. And then we're going to talk about introducing kids safely to screen time and the fear around how to recognize if anything harmful is happening on screen, such as cyberbullying or predators.
Yeah,
I'm here to stay with wisdom and warmth. Let's light the way. Together we'll laugh, together we'll share. In this cozy space, it's love and
that's a
Those
big
are topics.
topic.
Yeah, and this is just going to be an opinion based, like any of our other podcasts are. But this is something that I have a lot of fear around.
Me too.
So let's just jump right in.
I think it's like safe to say you see it more on like social media and whatnot that like this is a like widespread concern people are having.
Yeah,
like,
I actually read something the other day that said that our generation is the first generation that's actually having to parent around social media and stuff like that. And we're the last generation to know what times were like before all of the screens and after.
Right. So our childhood, we didn't have, like we had to throw on a VHS at grandma's or whatever, but we also grew up through like video games being introduced in a real serious way and like DVDs coming out and cable and
like
satellite.
MSN. You remember MSN? Like that was like grade 8
Facebook,
for us. So,
social media.
yeah,
all
like
these
I didn't
things.
even have Facebook myself until I was 17, 18.
I was so happy when you got Facebook.
I know. You hounded me for so long and I just didn't
know
get
why.
it. No, it was popular back
Even
then.
at the time, you couldn't have it on your phone, so you had to go home and like
Oh yeah, we
go
still
on
had
your
flip
computer.
phones, right? Like
Yeah.
social media wasn't accessible
It wasn't an
in
app.
our hands at school because we just had flip phones, T9 texting.
Totally.
So yeah, so that was what I read the other day, and I thought that was really interesting that we're the first generation and last generation to understand what times were like before and after.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I think for me personally, I know you had done it just recently. Like, you went on like a social media freeze a little bit. Like, you got rid of a couple things. Not that you got rid of them, but like you took time away from it. And a lot of like what we do here in this home is based through social media. So like I can't fully get rid of it.
Right. I mean, like it's
a
jobs.
lot of the marketing and things like that we do are on social media. So I have it. So I've tried to be a lot more conscious of getting off of it. Now, my son is only 6 months, and in our house, we do like 0 screen time for Everest. Now we're 6 months deep. So I know that's a lot easier at this age than it's a child you have to entertain all day long and have to come up with activities. But for us, like that's the route we've taken for it. And I don't know, like I'm sure we have our struggles down the road where they see TV at other houses and then come home and want to watch it. But
yeah, and let me be clear, I am not against screen time in any way. I actually am not. Like, I think there's a time and a place for screens, and I think that technology is amazing, and I think that social media is amazing, especially like with marketing. Obviously, what we're doing here, this is social media, right? This is, I am not in any way against it. It's just trying to find the balance that I'm into, and it's more like the content that my kids are consuming is what my fear is.
Yeah.
Rather than the actual screen time itself.
Right.
Now we do have rules. So, I mean, let's talk about screen time.
In general.
For any human, not just kids, it does have, and we all know has effects on your emotional and physical well-being.
Does. Yeah.
Like we all know that. It's widespread. It's not news.
Yeah.
We know that it affects our sleep.
Absolutely.
Right? Like we know that it affects it makes you lazy almost. Like sometimes if I'm scrolling, I'm like, and you're right. I got rid of Instagram. That was a personal choice. I got rid of my own personal Instagram. I do have business Instagrams, but I don't go on them other than to just post the content and then I leave. Yeah. I don't I'm not constantly scrolling reels and stuff like that. Because I found a couple reasons actually.
Yeah.
One, I found that I was scrolling stories and scrolling reels, and I was comparing my own life to all these other lives a lot, which I know is very common. And that was having a negative impact on my mental health, which is obviously that's also very common. Like that's one of the big cons of screen time, right? Or like of social media. Then the other reason was, even though my Instagram was private, I was having all of this fear based around all of the photos I was posting of my children and people getting access to that. And I don't know like how that happens. I don't know if they can when it's private. I don't know how it works. Like,
But to you, it's just
but
in
to
your
me, it just
control.
created, So, and then I was also like, when I was taking pictures of my kids, I was like, oh, I gotta make it look a certain way because I want to post these. Right? Do you know what I mean? And it was like less genuine.
Yeah.
And now that I don't have Instagram that I post my kids on all the time, I take the photo and then I move on. I don't really care. It's for my own personal memories. Like, I still take all the photos. It's just, it's less for the internet
gram.
than it is for me, right? So that was why I kind of took a pause from Instagram. And I honestly, I don't miss it really. Like, you'll see I still like I still have Facebook because I like to stay, I mean, Marketplace is the place to be for me. I love Marketplace.
A Marketplace separate app.
That's honestly like Marketplace and my local Buy Nothing group are why I'm still on there.
Absolutely. They need a separate app just for Marketplace.
Yeah.
Because like Marketplace is my Instagram. Like I scroll on anything new
Love
today.
it. My husband's the same way. We're like addicted to Marketplace.
Absolutely.
I'm like, you're like, oh, I needed a duffel bag. And you're like, no, you didn't. Why? Like, you just saw it. Now all of a sudden you need it because it's $20.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I need the duffel bag.
Right. So I love those things. That's why I'm still on there. But you'll see sometimes I'll post like a random story of like my kids, but it's very rare, few and far between. So for my own mental health, that is what I did.
No, I'm still on it all. And I find like my biggest reason I can't get off it, well, A, the business piece, but B, like I breastfeed a lot and a lot of people say pick up reading, whatever. And so right now I'm between books and I can't, I'm between books and I can't just bring my physical book into breastfeed because I have now a floppy 6-month-old who wants to get up and play. So I'm not just sitting there peacefully. So when he's like eyes closed feeding, I will pick up and scroll on the Instagram and I'm bored in there. You know, that's part of it. And everyone's like, meditate or do breath work or do these things. I'm like, I don't want to sometimes. Like, I just don't want to. Like,
Sometimes
I don't
you
feel
just
like
want to shut your brain off and do
just
mindless scrolling. And I totally get that.
And maybe that's not
the
the right answer, but like,
No.
I guess I could be better about like not bringing it into the bed with me, or like we were trying to be better about like reading at night or like first thing in the morning. And what I have noticed is I'm like trying to not take it room to room with me. I saw something say like, you have a problem if you're taking your phone room to room with you. It's like I have my Apple Watch.
I found my Apple Watch was incredibly useful for that.
If someone is trying to get a hold of me, I will know. You know what I mean? So like, leave your phone. You don't need to pick it up. Like, I'll be carrying Everest into the next room. I'm like, oh, gotta grab my phone. It's like, why? You don't need your phone.
I found that like when I got my Apple, I mean, I've had my Apple Watch for several years now, but especially when I first got it, I was way better at just leaving my phone wherever it was because I knew that like I was able to.
You think I'd be good at this?
However, I will say, and you know this, having my watch makes it. You can contact me, but will I get back to you? Probably not, because I'm like,
oh, cool, yeah,
right.
I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to it when I get my phone, and then
which is fine.
Which I mean, I know I can do on my watch. It's just more convenient, right?
Yeah.
So
for us, like for me, I'm really. So I saw something the other day that was like when you're breastfeeding the baby and they look up at you and you're like, when you look at your phone, you've got like a blank expression. And it's like you're breastfeeding, they look up at you expecting to see their smiling mother. And you're like,
that just breaks your heart.
That broke my heart. So I'm like, so now I'm like way more intentional and I'm like phone down. Because at first it was like, I have time to get things done. I'm not always just scrolling. Like screen time doesn't mean you're on social media. Well, shopping, or sometimes I'm like working on Instagram posts. Well, it's still social media, but it's like business related. Like I'm working on a post or I'm coming up with a caption or I'm doing, getting back to an email or something. So it's not always bad, but it doesn't mean I should be doing it at that time. Right. So it's just being more intentional around our screen time and like, you can put the timer on to like, oh, you've been on your screen too long today. And now just go, nah.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Move along. Yeah.
Don't care.
Nice.
Oh no.
Moving on.
And so then they say there's all these ways to do it, whatever. I think it just comes down to like, is that a priority to you? Like, why don't you want to be on your screen?
Well, it's an addiction.
You don't want to be on your screen because you want to be there present for your child. And when he looks up at you, you're there available for him. And you're not just like a brainless dummy who's addicted to their phone.
Well, and like it is an addiction.
Totally.
Like I remember back when I did have Instagram, I'd be on my phone and I'd be like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. And I'm like, why did I just go back to that? I just closed it.
Totally.
Like,
it is such an addiction.
It is. And I have gotten a lot better at that. I will say.
Too.
Like I obviously I don't have Instagram anymore. personally, but I don't do that anymore.
So
Like,
now, do we talk about like how that affects our kids, or like they see you on
well,
your phone?
that's my fear.
Are
yeah.
your kids? Do they ever want to play with your phone? Do they get to play with
I
your
will say
phone?
no, I don't. They don't like go on my phone. I say the most that they do on my phone is sometimes they'll pick it up and just start snapping photos of
Yeah.
random stuff around the house, but that's the like majority of it. They don't ask to go on my phone, which is actually shocking, right? Like
Yeah.
you think that they would, but they don't. I will say, so getting towards children and screen
Yeah.
time and how it affects them. So we went to Mexico last year and we got our children tablets specifically just for the plane so they could watch movies on it. Wasn't for like, obviously social media or anything. My kids are very young. That's not something we've encountered yet. But we got these tablets. They watched it. It was great. I mean, I don't regret doing that because they watched movies on the plane. We had downloaded. The plane went pretty smoothly, like for how young they were. They were 4 and 2. And it was great. Like things went well. So then when we got home, they had become used to having access to these tablets because during like when Nora would be napping, I'd let Emmy watch a movie so she'd be quiet, like have quiet time. Like we didn't have
You
access
had
to all the
one
stuff we
room,
had
right?
to at home.
Yeah.
And we had one room. We couldn't necessarily leave because Nora was napping. So yes, sometimes Walter would take Emmy around, whatever. Anyways, it was a week full of like, sometimes she had access to this tablet to watch movies on and she didn't play games. She just
to develop a habit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then when we got home, it became this habit. She would ask, can I watch they called it my game.
Yeah.
They didn't play games on it. It was just movies, but that's what they called it. Can I watch my game? Can I watch my game? Can I watch my game? And we gave into that a little bit and we would be like, at the
We're on
end of the day.
vacation, it's fine.
Well, even when we got home after vacation,
yeah.
it was like the end of the day, like after having a super busy day, half an hour, we were like, half an hour of watching a movie on the tablet. Who cares? Who cares? Well, then it got into, can I watch YouTube Kids? And she would watch YouTube Kids and she'd watch these. It was harmless. It was like little videos of like
Kids
people
opening.
making slime or like
yeah.
stuff like that, like silly stuff. Or like, little snippets of Bluey or this and that. And then I started to notice like she was getting irritable and she was like sleeping more like poorly. And I in my mind I was like, this is a gateway.
Totally.
And she doesn't like, she's 4 years old. She doesn't need to be watching
No.
this. So the one day she had watched a video and it scared her a little bit. And it was a kid's video and it was just of this, I want to say monster, but it wasn't a monster. It was something that came and it was a video about farming and how like some animals can come onto the farm and kill other animals. Well, that scared her, obviously. And she said, I don't want to watch this anymore. And I said, great, let's put it away. And we put it away. And this was probably 6 months ago and we have not taken it back out since. And I just took that as an opportunity to put it away. And
we're
I
done
said,
with it.
and you know what? I sat down and I explained to her, I know she's 4, but I do
No, it's
believe
good to
that
explain
you should talk to your
yeah,
children and
absolutely.
try like we should never think that our children don't understand because they understand a
Yes.
lot more than we think they
Yes.
do. And I sat down and I said, listen, watching the game is not good for your brain. It's not good for your body. So we need to take a break from it. And she agreed. And like I said, we haven't brought it back out since. And it's been like the best thing ever. And does she still have attitude problems? Yes, absolutely. But
she's also
I
a
know it's not
5-year-old.
related to
Yeah.
to the game.
She's your daughter, so.
Yes, you're right. Well, so yeah. And do we still bring out the tablets every now and again? Like, yeah, I'd be hypocritical if I said I didn't. Like, she actually, my oldest, never watches hers ever. Today I do let my youngest watch a movie on it while we record because it's the only way we'll get recording done.
Yeah.
But is the only time the tablet comes out is if we're traveling.
She's
or
almost getting like a bad association with my house. So
she
sees my house.
is. She sees
I
your
get
house.
to
She's
see
like,
Brie.
can I watch
Can I play my game?
Can I watch my movie? Yeah. So I do let her watch a movie on it while we record because it's the only way we'll be able to. But other than that, we don't use them ever. Like at home, they stay on the counter. They don't, and I don't know how long I'll be able to keep that up.
Like if you go on another trip, you might bring them out. Or
Right,
whatever,
like to watch a movie. Like we're going away, and we'll do a little chit chat update podcast at some point, and I'll tell you about that. But it'll be a long drive, and so yes, they'll probably download some movies and watch some movies on it.
Yeah. So then how about you guys, like as a family, do you ever sit down and watch like a TV show?
Absolutely.
Or, yeah.
Absolutely. We
What's
call
a
them
family
movie
do?
nights.
Yeah.
We don't really watch shows together, but we call them movie nights. I really like Bluey because it's 7-minute. The episodes are very short. So you can say to them, you can watch 1 or 2 episodes of Bluey and that's like 7 to 14 minutes. Like they're really short. It's great. They also get a lot of fun game ideas from Bluey
fun.
because the parents are very interactive with their children and they play lots of like imagination games and
Okay.
stuff like that. So then I'll notice my kids playing these games. So it's kind of great.
Yeah.
Big fan of Bluey at our house. But we'll have movie nights. So we'll pick a movie, specifically like a newer movie that's come out. The most recent one we did was Moana 2.
Yes.
And we'll get snacks and we'll all sit on the couch together, whether it's a Saturday morning or a Saturday night, or we don't really do TV during the week. We have a strict no TV policy before school.
Yeah.
And that's just what works for us. Like I said, my daughter is negatively affected in her mood when she
Yeah.
watches too much screens, and I do not want to
you
send
have
her
to
off
think
into the day that way.
All children are.
Right.
Like that's not unique to Emerson. Like
Right.
All humans are affected
Humans in
negatively.
general,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Adults, all of us.
So I don't want her starting her day
No.
in that negative way, especially sending her off to school trying to learn.
Yeah.
She doesn't need, her mind will not be right, and that's just unfair to her.
Yeah.
Right? So we have it, and my kids are fine with it actually. Like they know no TV. I say it's a school day, they say okay, no TV. Like they know.
I almost find like these days when you go over to someone's houses, at least for my circle, my world, when I go over to someone's house and their TV is on, that's almost like jarring to me. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, why is your TV on?
Yeah.
Like why? Like for us, at least, maybe it's just the habit we're in, but the people we know and mostly associate with, when we go over, like the TV is off and it's like, it only gets turned on when like you're doing something special, like
Yeah.
you're watching a movie specifically. We're going to sit down and watch this movie, or we're going to sit down and do this or whatever. And we are not perfect. We love our shows.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we love Aaron and I at any given time before we had Everest had several shows on the go. Like we're not perfect, but now that we have a kid, or like my productivity has gone like straight down. So it's like if I don't limit now our screen time, we'll never
You have to find those pockets of time.
Totally. So before, I think I told you last week, just in passing, like we're doing no screen March.
Yes.
Like we in the evening when Everest goes down at 7:00, like 7:00 is early still, and we would typically watch a show an hour before bed. Now we don't feel great, and I sit my phone and scroll after, I didn't get any work done. So that's like an hour to 2 hours before bed that like nothing productive is getting done. And being like entrepreneurs, like we can't afford that. Like we have to work when the baby is sleeping. And so when we lay Everest down now, it's like, okay, I'll come down to my computer. It's still screen time, but it's like we're working. Aaron will go to his office, and then we'll meet up and read in bed before we go to bed.
And do you find that yours and Aaron's relationship is a little bit better? Not like
Totally.
just zoning out on a TV beside each other while also scrolling your individual phones?
100%. And like I found like before we got this started too, like there would be times I'd be talking to Aaron and he would be like on his phone and like responding to me while still looking at his phone. I'm like, that is rude. Like not to call my husband out, like everyone does
Yeah.
this, but like if I'm at your house and I'm visiting with you, or we're together and you're talking to me while you're on your phone, if you're quickly getting back to something and you were doing that first, I understand. But if I walk in the room and we're like, you're not doing anything urgent or important and you're just like scrolling, looking at something, that is rude. And today that's just accepted.
Right. And I will say, and again, not to call out my husband, although he did say, you can talk about me on your podcast. It's okay. Not to call him out, but sometimes my kids have been like, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy,
And he
Daddy.
doesn't
And
hear.
he's like, doesn't hear it.
Yes.
And I literally will be like, Walter, they are talking to you.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've probably done it myself. Like
Totally,
I am
I'm sure
not,
you-
you know,
yeah.
I'm probably guilty of it too, but like, and it hurts my heart because I'm like these are not more important than our kids.
No. And it's so sad. Like, yeah. And so I like, again, I don't have as many experiences because my son is still just little, but he's now just starting to reach for my phone. And I'm like, well, why is it always right with me that he can always
That he
reach
can
it?
reach for
You know what I
it,
mean?
yeah.
So like, am I building habits for him that this is a very important thing? Like this phone is really cool.
Right.
Mommy is always on it. Mommy
Yeah.
laughs at it. Mommy's, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I did see something that like suggested, I didn't do research for this podcast or anything, but I did see it just a while back, like the suggested screen time for children under 1 is 0 minutes.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
0 minutes.
And my kids didn't watch TV
no
when they were that little.
reason to watch a screen.
Yeah.
So Everest and again, Aaron and I last night, we were like knock on wood, but like Everest, we've always said this is an incredible sleeper. I'm like, I wonder why. Like, is it something we've done or do we get very lucky? Like sometimes everyone's like,
Maybe
you
a
got
mix,
lucky.
right?
You're number 2 is gonna really teach you a lesson. And I'm like, or maybe part of it you know, we'll never know, but maybe part of it is the lifestyle we live and the fact that like we go outside first thing in the morning. We go outside. They say like getting that red light first thing in the morning sets your circadian rhythm, going out right at dusk before the sun sets. And then like not seeing a screen ever, like Everest never looks at a screen. So maybe that helps them sleep.
And I even find like in the mornings when I go to like, if I go to grab my phone in the morning and I look at my, well, no, like I hate starting my day that way because on the mornings that I do that, I'm less likely to go downstairs and work out because now I've laid in bed too long. Now I've become more lazy. If I don't grab my phone right away, I am more likely to get up and go do my workout.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
so
not just for kids, right? It's for all of us. And this is not to pose any judgment on people that do use screen time because I mean, of course I use it. We all use it. It's in our lives. And this is just the day that we live in.
Yeah. Everyone's lives are different. Like I have friends who use it a lot more. Like they have iPads in their life, but it's limited and it's not all the time. And they may not have immediate help. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the community surrounding them to help watch their kids, and they might be entrepreneurs themselves, and the only time they can get work done or anything done is by allowing
some days for my mental health I'm like, listen, it's a rainy day, we've been inside all day, or we have friends over and we would like to sit down and talk to them for a bit, so yeah, we'll put on a movie and you guys can watch a movie, and then the next day I will sometimes be like, you know what, we watched a lot of TV yesterday.
Today we're gonna
have a no TV day today.
And I think it's like so important too, is like me in my shoes where I am to never cast judgment because I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? Like I can say what I hope to do. Like I hope that we don't ever need to do screen time or anything like that. But Everest is 6 months old and my challenges are way different than your challenges. Well,
and mine are different than those experiencing, preteens that are now on social media. And my kids are so young that it's still something I could control.
Like, so I wonder what like parents who have preteens or people getting into like social media are going to do, or what we will do when we have to cross that bridge. Because I would love to believe like my children are like so confident in life that they don't need it. But then, it's going to be like, I don't know, peer pressure or wanting to feel cool or fit in. Like you don't want to take away that experience from them.
And I don't even think it's confidence. I think it's just, this is the day and age that we're in. Like it's going to be accessible. And honestly, for a lot of jobs and like jobs that probably aren't even jobs yet, they're going to need it. They're going to want to do it. It's just, these are the things that are going to be prominent.
A lot of it is like to have a personal Instagram. A lot of it is confidence. Like you have to be very confident to like not
put yourself
feel the need, or to like not have it. Like, oh, I'm so sure of myself. I don't need to be out there. I don't need to have that. And so, you know what I mean? So there is that element of it for sure. But we don't even know, like our challenges 10, 15 years down the road are going to be totally different.
And I think this is a good leeway into the next topic, which is like introducing your kids safely. How do you do that? How do you introduce them safely? Because it is going to be a part of their lives. Right. It's pretty well, like you can't avoid it. Right. This is just, like I said, it's the day and age that we're in. Yeah. And they use them they use like screens and stuff in schools now, right?
Like that's what I was going to say. You start
iPads.
If you want to talk about it at its base layer, you talk about like computer literacy, right? Yes. Like just being literate on the computer, knowing how to use all that stuff. Of course, like technology is amazing. Like you said, absolutely. We want them to be able to use a phone, know how to use apps. Us as well. Like I don't want to be getting older and be like, what's that old thing? I'm never going to get a phone. Da, da, da. You know what I mean? Like
great old lady voice.
I'm never going to need it. But like I see my grandma's hip. She's got her iPad. She's got all her stuff. She's got her computer. She knows how to use everything because she never was like that. She just got everything. Yeah. So like, and I don't want to be cringy, but I want to like move with the times and like, but not be addicted to it or whatever. So like
that's what I mean, the balance. How do you find that balance?
And how do you now introduce your children to it to know like this is unhealthy in some amount.
Right. And I think this is where a lot of my fear is based. Like my fear isn't really based on the amount of time they spend on it. Now, do I want to keep that to a minimum? Yes, absolutely. But it's more like the content that they are consuming that scares me the most. Yeah. And this kind of ties into this topic and next topic, how to recognize certain harmful.
Yeah. I think before we jump into that, I just want to say one thing. But in the evenings when we do have screen time, Aaron and I will bust out like our blue light blocking glasses. Like before we go. So like as the sun is setting.
My glasses that I wear like
are
for
just
seeing,
blue light
they have they have a blue light on them. Like a
blocker.
Yeah.
So like Aaron all day long, he wears he has like 5 different
He wears his
shaded
red light ones. I notice a lot. Like,
yeah.
Are they red light?
They're red, but that's called blue light
Oh,
blocking.
okay. Yeah, I see him wear those.
So so he got me a pair, and I only really wear them because he got them for me. And I actually noticed a difference. I started wearing his, and like when you take them off, you're like, whoa, the light is jarring at that evening. Like you're not meant. Again, this is back to my caveman theory. You're not meant to like be going to bed and have like lights of this color on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you would have the sun dim and set, and then you would go to bed also because you're a caveman and you have no electricity.
However, when the sun dims and sets, our kids go to bed, and that's when we get to do anything we want to do.
Right.
So
And that's when you pop on your glasses, and then it's like more natural.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to tie that in
I do get
there.
terrible headaches if I don't wear mine at work.
See?
Like, because
Around the
when I'm
screen.
working, like, I mean, I don't. My job isn't based around the computer, but we do computer work,
And so it affects
hurts
you.
my head. Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying is like these lights are new things relatively in life. Humans aren't meant to necessarily be like in these like manufactured situations. And so all I'm saying is like I've noticed a small difference. I don't know all the science behind it, but like me popping on these red light glasses at night, like to filter out that blue light, I've noticed a difference, and I fall asleep super. I used to be like up laying in bed, mind racing. I fall asleep much easier. So I don't know.
So it's working for you.
Maybe it's a placebo, but it's working for us. So anyway, back to what you were going to say.
So just the ability to introduce your kids to social media, and how do you do that? How do you do that in a safe manner? And I don't know. I don't have any experience with this because my kids are still very young.
Yeah.
But I would love to do more research and find like what is the best way to teach them that there should be a balance, that there should be there's a time and a place for social media, and it can be a great thing, but it doesn't need to be what your life revolves around.
Right.
And how do we teach them how to recognize if they are becoming addicted, or recognize if it's becoming unsafe?
Yeah, and I think that's something like as parents you have to keep an eye on. Like it's part of your job to manage that.
Absolutely.
Sadly at first, because those aren't things they're going to
Right. So there is things like privacy settings. So you can set your
Right.
So like I said, my kids do have tablets. They are set to a way that they literally can't do anything on them. Like
Right.
all they can do is play with the couple. I have Disney Plus, I have Netflix on there, and outside of that, there's nothing else on there. They
Right.
can't access anything unless I download it on there for them. So
Right.
they're very limited right now if they ever do have access to those tablets, which like I said, they rarely ever do. But as they get older, they'll start, and they see, my fear is they'll see their friends with phones
That's
because
it.
other kids have phones.
Yeah.
How do I keep my kids away from it when
When
it's so
everyone else
prominent
has
with
it.
all of their friends, and I don't want them to feel left out.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think that I'm
But like
super
you didn't.
strict.
You didn't have it.
I did, and
You
that was
held off a
that
long
was my
time.
choice. Like my mom and my dad, they had Facebook. I
Yeah.
didn't.
You held off for so long.
Yeah, I thought I was cooler than everybody. No.
Yeah,
no,
you're like, I don't
actually
need it.
don't know why I didn't get
Yeah,
it.
I
It was
never
never
understood
something
it.
that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then
so like I guess there's like that part of like giving your child like maybe they will make that right choice, or
Right.
maybe they won't want to be, but I think it's like lead by example as well.
Right.
Like teach them like we don't need this. We're not on it all the time, and they're going to see their friends. I know what you're saying, but like part of that is like, again, I do think confidence of like at home, my mommy is one of the coolest people I know. My mommy's awesome, and my mommy's not on Facebook. You know what I mean?
I mean,
'Cause
that's
you
a
do
great
learn that.
thought that I want her to think I'm the coolest
Yeah.
person ever. But growing up, you think your friends are. That's
It's
just
true.
how it goes. And I was talking to another mom about this, and we were discussing like what happens when, say, your daughter or your son's friends come into your home and they have phones. They're allowed to have phones. My kids don't have phones. What are we like? And they go down to, say, their bedroom to play,
And they're watching
video, and like how you can't confiscate another kid's
No,
phone because
yeah.
that's not okay.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? I don't know. I don't have the answer, honestly.
Yeah.
And these are things that I think about for my future
I know.
that keep me awake at night.
You just lock them up. You say no.
You can't do this.
You have no friends.
So
then.
I have heard other mothers say, I tell their friends like,
Phone stay
we're a
upstairs.
no phone household.
Yeah.
However, I understand this is your personal property. We're going to keep it on the counter while you're here. You can come back and check it whenever you want because this is yours, not ours. So when I was talking to this other mom, she was saying, like, you put the phone on the counter. They can come back and check it whenever they want because it is their property.
Yeah.
But they don't go into bedrooms and they don't scroll. And I think that's a great idea. How I'll implement that one day, I'll get back to you in 10 years.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I think the other important thing is too, when I was talking to another mom friend of mine, is having someone else that has the same views as you, because you can kind of hold each other accountable, and also like your kids
will
have
play with
each
their
other.
kids. Yeah.
Yes. So like, you know, it's like when they say, "Hey mom, all my friends have a phone," you can be like, "Well, this kid also doesn't have a phone, and they're very close to us, and they have the same views as we do on phones." And like I said, this is not something I haven't encountered. Maybe my views will change.
But I
how
think it's
I handle
important
it will change.
to talk about it and think about it now, because they don't just turn 13. They're
Right.
overnight just talking about, so it's like it's a gradual, obviously they're growing up, and so it's your day-to-day practices of like your firm but soft, like whatever views on this, like, hey, you're constantly teaching them this lesson over time, so that not one day they're like, oh, my mom won't let me have Facebook down in my bedroom or whatever it is. It's like, no, your mom believes that things like this are limited whatever.
And
I
again,
don't know.
it comes back to explaining to your children. Don't just be like, no, you can't have this. It's explain to them why you don't think that it's important for them to, or you think it's important for them not to have.
Right. Like, I understand you want to be connected with your friends. That's really important to me too. I want you to have a healthy social life, but here's what it will look like safely.
Right.
And then I think that ties in totally nicely with the scarier part of the internet.
And this is the part this is what keeps me awake at night,
like,
truly.
Honestly, I have not even, like, I guess before having kids, we thought of all these things. We're like, these are all really scary things to think about. Like, what do you do with social media? What do you do with phones? What do you do with, like, do you send your kid off to elementary school? I know some kids that have watches, like Apple Watches. One of my best friends sends her kid with an Apple Watch with a cellular plan, so he can call her on it, or he can text her, and she only has 2 or 3 contacts on it, and he can get a hold of his mom. Mom, I'm done school or whatever.
And I don't hate that for a safety like aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like stuff like having access, because we don't have home phones really these days.
Right.
That's the other thing. Do you get your kid a phone that only can call and text? So
is it just like one of those bricks? Yeah.
Like if they're 12 years old and they're starting to stay home alone or whatever it is, I need to be able to contact them.
Absolutely.
Like, you know.
Or do you get a home phone?
Right. Or do you get a home phone again? But then what if they're at a friend's house and I want to be able to contact them there and they don't have a home phone?
Phones aren't bad.
No,
phones are good.
That's the thing. It's about the social media.
That's the part.
Aspect to it.
Yeah.
And like you said, so now getting into the
scary
recognizing,
cyberbullying,
cyberbullying and
scams,
frauds, predators.
Yeah.
Like this keeps me awake at night. So
like adults get targeted and hit with this. So
absolutely. And us having access to social media ourselves has just grown this fear of mine, because now I hear more things than you probably would have back when social media was brand new, because it's so prominent in all of our daily lives. There was one on the actual news that was saying that YouTube Kids, things were getting through the filter because it was appearing as something that was like a kid's show,
and then they slip in.
Yeah, 15 minutes in, all of a sudden it's talking about, all of these inappropriate, terrible things, and now all of these kids are being exposed to this, and that just like, the one we saw was like so bad.
A video that like partway through was like a very scary like image on the screen, like I don't know, like a ghost or something like that, and it was like screaming at the kid or something like that.
And that's terrifying.
And then so scary.
And then also there's like all of these AI bots now that are creating their own characters on these games, and these are games I've never played, but these are things that I'm hearing, right? And these are things that now I'm worrying about for my own kids. They're creating these characters that are saying these inappropriate things to these young children in these like games where you create
like
a life,
Sims kind of,
but it's like over the internet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or like these predators
like
that are talking to these young children, pretending they're also young children. Like it's just, it scares me. And
we know a friend that was on something like this, and she got convinced he wanted to send her money. He wanted to send her like $100, $200, whatever it is. And in order to do so, he needed her banking information. So she thought, whatever, this guy wants to send me money. I think she's a preteen. So she sent him some information and he wiped her account.
Yeah. And that's like, yes.
And now how do you
not
talk
only
to that child?
Is it sexual predating, it's financial, it's fraud, scams.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like,
and they're getting smarter and smarter. Like
absolutely.
we even saw an adult got hit. I just saw it yesterday on the news of like a woman someone called. They were like, hey, you have some fraudulent charges. Can I go through the last few charges on your account? She's like, okay. She gave him no information. And he walked through, did you spend this? She goes, yes, I did. Did you spend this? Yes, I did. So he could see her account. And then he goes, did you spend this? She goes, oh my gosh, I did not spend that. He goes, okay, if you can answer your 3 security questions correctly, we'll be able to take care of this for you. So now he's getting her security questions, right? He goes, okay, what is your mother's maiden name? Whatever, right? Like those typical security questions. And she gives them to him because now he's proved like he can see the back end. He must actually be from the bank. So she gives the security questions and he took everything.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. And like, how do you even recognize
as adults, how do we recognize this? How do we control
my own
this?
dad's been scammed before on Marketplace. Like poor Dan.
He sent the money, Willie.
No, he didn't send it. So he was selling something. Someone was interested. They asked for his email for e-transfer. Got access to like over just his email. Got access to like things on his phone. Now, nothing ended up coming of it because he caught it very quickly.
Good.
He like cut his phone off. But he had to restart everything he owned. And so now when I sell things on Marketplace on my own, I say cash only. I'm like cash only.
Yeah, no,
because I don't trust anybody anymore. It's creating a lot of like mistrust between people, right?
Well, so, like it's like we've said, this digital age is scary and it's getting scarier with like the AI and chat, which don't get me wrong, I love a good chat GBT. I love
that's what I mean. I'm not against social media and technology at all.
These things are getting scarier, especially because we don't know everything about it. We don't know what it all can do. And like as the world's getting smarter, like the jobs of parents are getting actually harder. Like you started this podcast out with, my dad was saying it to me too. Like they never had these issues so much when they were raising us. Like it was brand new. Like it was like, oh, this new thing that you can just make phone calls on. Obviously I can let my kid have that. It's safe. And now it's like, well,
now it's evolved to this big,
scary thing. And the internet is
and unfortunately
endless.
There's some really bad people out there that have been using this to their advantage, the advancements in technology, rather than using this as a thing, like a benefit. It's using it against other humans. Yeah. And unfortunately kids are super susceptible to that.
Absolutely.
And
how do we protect them?
How do we protect them?
Yeah.
How do we protect them? Like, so obviously there's like the things to recognize, like cyberbullying. I'm sorry, I have like a itch on my nose. I just keep itching it. My allergies are so bad because it's springtime. Side note. So I'm constantly like trying not to sneeze on the podcast. Anyways, so I don't remember what I was saying, but
like the cyberbullying.
Yeah. So obviously there's like the signs of like if your kid's being withdrawn and stuff like that. But and you can, maybe something's wrong. Maybe they're being bullied at school. Maybe they're being bullied over the internet. Like, and I'm not there yet. I don't know what that looks like, but I just, all of these things, man, they scare the living crap out of me.
I think the most important thing from sitting right here in this pretty little soft 6-month-old world is like just keeping an open and honest relationship with your children. Like you said, I'm not just saying because I said so, you know, like you can't have your phone because I said so. It's or just because.
Right.
There's reasons behind everything. You're honestly, they don't think you're holding up back information. You care for them. You love them. And then just being aware of the dangers and the threats that exist, and then communicating in a safe way to your children what those might be. And then just keeping tabs. That's all you can do.
And having friends like, you know, with you, like you and some of my other mom friends that have the same views on phones as
like
me,
building
and
that
like
community.
Social media. Building a community. And then somewhere I can go for advice, somewhere my kids can go where they feel safe. Like these kids aren't allowed to have, and I hate saying aren't allowed, but are limited on their usage. I think that's important too. And I think, like you said, explaining to them, and that's with anything. Even with like healthy foods, like I'll sit down with my daughter and I'll be like, listen, the reason I'm not giving you this treat is because you had this, that, and the other thing. And we need to nourish our bodies. And these things do not make us stronger or healthier. Yeah. And, you know, and that hopefully is
I cannot wait to tell Everest the day and to see his face when I go, Doritos? Mommy used to eat whole bags of Doritos.
The things that, so we were famous for eating baby bottle pops, bops, whatever.
But yeah, our fave.
It is sugar.
Amazing.
You would never catch me dead giving that to my child.
No chance. No chance.
No.
And it's just so funny now, like all the information out there about these things, how harmful they can be. And so I think like, not necessarily to wrap up here, but like just to summarize, like again, we've not crossed this road yet.
Right.
We don't know what this looks like, but it's scary. And keeping a conversation alive, like keeping yourself informed, keeping your children in the loop. And then like a piece of it is trust too with them.
Yep.
Like you have to at some
You
point
have to
trust them that you've raised them correctly and that they know the right thing to do. They'll come to you if something feels a little bit off. And that's the hardest part.
I totally agree. And as this podcast grows and hopefully we're still doing this in 5-10 years,
we'll cross these bridges
and we'll probably come back to this discussion and it might look totally different because there might be new this, that, and the other thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
and this podcast really is like, although we're talking about screen time, it's like screen time, like the deep well of what it is. Like we talked about everything from like blue light blocking, how long to watch it, family time.
This is such a larger conversation.
It's a big conversation.
This is just a small crumb of the screen time biscuit.
But you can know what I think is funny? Like 2 examples. Like, so Everest never sees a screen. When he went to your house and like we just threw on that movie for a quick moment, right? Everest was like,
yeah.
What is
because it's stimulating. It's very stimulating.
I'm just
right.
kidding.
That's what made him throw up.
No, I'm just kidding. But then we had, so for New Year's, we put on this like fun show on the TV that was like, I don't know, it must have been the most stimulating thing I've ever seen. It was like kids jumping around. Anyway, it was this cool thing. And actually, no, at first I had Bambi on the screen. It was like the lowest stim I could find. And these children came over, some of our good friends, and they don't ever watch screens. And they came in and they were like,
zombies.
Glued zombies.
They're zombies.
Whereas the other child who watches more stimulating shows, he was like running around. He didn't care. There was hockey going on, and so he was playing. But then when I put like that really stimulating one I said on, like the ball drop video, all the kids were just like glued to it.
Yeah.
Like it is like crack for kids.
Yeah, and I will, like I said,
Terrible.
I use screens.
Yeah.
I use them. This is not posing judgment. I use them. Some days we
It's
have
just, like,
lots of screens. Some
recognizing-
days we have none.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how it goes.
And like
but
I said, recognizing
side note, I
yeah.
will say, I don't know how true this is, but apparently a lot of the shows we used to watch when we were younger
Were lower
lower
still.
stimulation than the ones now.
Yeah.
And so now I try to veer my kids towards those. I don't know
Yes.
if you remember Bear in the Big Blue House. That was more
No.
when my brother was young rather
Okay.
than us. So it was a little bit old or young for us. But or like Lunette the Clown,
Right,
like stuff,
Yep,
shows
we grew
like
up on
those.
those,
And if
yeah.
you look at them and then compare them to the shows, they are much
Well, 'cause
more or
now
less stimulating.
They figured out how to do like the frame rate per second or whatever, where it's like every 5 seconds, it's like snap cut, snap cut, snap cut, jump cut, jump cut, jump cut. So it's like
It's the sounds, the pictures,
boom,
the
boom,
colors,
boom.
yeah.
And you're constantly, and like, so Aaron, my husband, he makes videos, and for a while he used to authentically make like videos he was passionate about, and all of a sudden he's like, well, these videos I'm seeing are doing better than my videos, so maybe I'll take that tactic, the jump cut tactic. So for a while he changed up his theory and like we're making like Nerf videos where it was like, I'm here now, I'm here now, I'm here,
Yeah.
and he was trying to do that to fit into that algorithm or like captivate
part-
kids.
all
I'm like,
part
that
of-
is so sad, because if you're thinking that, every other creator in the world is thinking that. They're
Yeah.
like, how do I make it so a kid never looks away? And it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
I do get overstimulated sometimes with those shows, though. I really do. I'm like, this needs to be not on my TV. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I think
It's a
that's
great
like,
conversation,
yeah, and
yeah.
like we said, we'll probably come back to this at
We'll
some
have
point
to.
because this is just
Yeah.
a small portion of like the big picture.
Yeah,
But
for sure. So just try to do everything in reason. 80-20, baby. 80-20.
But to end off,
Oh
we do
my
have
gosh.
some would you rathers
I
and
love
a
these.
little fun question at the end.
I love these.
All right, so would you rather go on vacation and forget all of your clothes or all of your baby's clothes?
I know the right answer. Okay, obviously I would rather forget all of, well, like, so Everest's clothes are just so small. I could probably quickly wash them and dry them quickly. I need to change every day. But then the right answer is, this makes me look like a bad mom. The right answer is you want to forget your own clothes, obviously, right? That's the right answer.
I mean, I don't think there's a right answer.
There's obviously a right answer. You got to put your child first, right?
If I'm going to answer, I would rather forget all of my baby's clothes. And let me tell you why. Your baby does not give two poops what they're wearing. You can probably find a store with some cheap clothes that you can throw them in for your vacation.
Sure. But what if
I
you're
am way
not-
less confident than my child, and I need to wear things that I am confident and
But like,
comfortable
if
in.
you're not near, what if you have no ability to get the new clothes?
Yes. Okay. No ability to get clothes. Yes, of course. I'd rather
That's
forget.
the way I was taking
I'd
it.
rather forget my own
Yes.
clothes. However,
If there's a store,
if
yeah, I'll
there's
go
a
buy my baby
Walmart nearby,
clothes. Okay, then yes, I would rather forget my baby's clothes.
if you're in like, okay, say you go to Mexico
Okay.
and you don't have the ability, like there's probably a gift shop. I'd buy them 3
Yeah.
of the same sleeper and they can wear that the rest of the trip.
Yeah. Oh, I hope this never happens. That one stresses me out.
Okay. Would you rather have your kids always clean up after themselves or never fight with each other? Now, I know you can't talk about this from experience,
I was
but
just at
you
your
have
house this
seen my
weekend.
kids.
Yes. So wait, always clean up after themselves or
never fight with each other.
Oh gosh. Always clean up after themselves?
Okay. I'm going to go with never fight with each other because
I
it
don't
is
know.
literally the vein of my existence. These kids will find the smallest thing that they can and they will just they'll get under each other's skin and it makes my eyes twitch. I'm like, if I have to listen to you guys, and I try to drill them like, this is your best friend. You are best friends. You are a team. It is you against the world. they're 3 and 5 and they're just staring at me
That's
like, yeah, but
cute.
she took my doll.
No, what was the one? She touched me.
She touched me. She took my doll. She looked at me funny. Stop copying me is their newest thing. It's copying, but they say stop copying me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's their newest thing. Emerson's copying me. It's insane.
That's so cute. Yeah, these ones are tough. They're tough for me because I don't know. But I would like to think my house staying clean is more important than them fighting. But come
It's
at
not.
me when I have two. Yeah.
I can tell you it's not.
That's important because you are clean freaks.
I know.
That's me. That says
I know.
something.
I would rather clean up after them a million times than them with the bickering. I
Yeah.
cannot with the
At first,
bickering.
can't even speak. So actually, well, he just learned how to scream yesterday.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's my least favorite sound in the world.
Yeah,
So maybe
now picture
I'm-
2 of those.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Add
I
each
tried
other
to give-
and add in some hair pulling.
No, what? I try to like give him no life when he does it. Like when he screams, I'm just like unaffected. Like,
Yeah.
I am not giving you any attention.
Right, because the more you react, the more he'll be like, ooh, I should do this more often.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but I'm trying not to laugh really. Cause I'm
Right.
like, it's the most funniest scream.
Right, I
Yeah.
know. It
He
is
did.
hard.
He pulled it at swim lessons. He just went, "Ah," and everyone at the pool was like, "What's wrong?" I go, "He just learned his voice. Like,
He's
it's
finding
fine."
himself.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
Would you rather only watch Coco Melon for the rest of your life or never watch TV again?
Never watched TV.
Oh,
again.
152%. Never
So,
watch TV
Coco
again.
Melon's like Baby Shark and all
If
that.
I
right?
could keep, yes.
and
if
they do
I
all the
could-
songs. Yeah.
It's all songs. It's
Yeah.
just songs.
Yeah. So no TV.
No
Yeah.
TV. Yes,
Got it.
100%.
All right. I know you have one question. This
Last
burning
question. Okay, so it's just a fun one. It's a
Okay.
fun one. So if you could be any TV parent, who would you be?
Oh. Do you have an answer to this?
I
Let
do.
me think on it.
Okay, I do. So, okay, if I could pick a TV parent, I would want to be Chili. She is the mom from Bluey, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Everybody loves Bluey's dad because these parents are very involved. They're always playing games with their kids and doing the fun things. And Bluey's dad, Bandit, is very, very fun. He's the fun parent. Chili's also fun, and the way that she raises her kids and talks to them is great. I admire that in a cartoon dog.
Yeah.
But she also keeps the house running.
This is hilarious.
I want to.
This
I
is a
would.
side of you I love.
I love Chili.
Okay. Okay, off the top, I have no answer to this. I don't know any television moms right now on the spot.
You suddenly can't think of a single
No,
one.
isn't that funny? Like
Yeah.
the first thing that came to my mind was like Marge Simpson, but that's obviously not who I want to be.
I love that though.
I don't even know in this moment. I'm like,
Like
the other
a
one
TV
went
mom.
to like Gilmore Girls.
What about the TV mom from Mean Girls?
Oh boy, I do love her. I don't know, Gilmore Girls. She was pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
the only other show I can think of in
Yeah,
this moment.
they were
also.
besties.
They were besties. Yeah.
I like to think that me and my mom were kind of like Gilmore
You
Girls.
guys were kind of like Gilmore
Yeah.
Girls in a way. I don't know. I'll have to come back to that one. Let me think. But just like mostly a cool mom that plays lots of sports, and they're like, my mom can do anything.
I like it. I like
kind
it.
of
Sounds
mom.
like a Jennifer Garner type mom. One of her roles.
One of her roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Anyway, that was a good one. I have to think on you. Get back. So
All
what's
right.
your name? Chili? Hey,
Chili.
Chili. Thanks, Chili. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into
Yeah.
our screen time episode.
We'll see you
and-
next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.